you referenced an article, which was the subtitle of the article was an ecological idea whose time has come. And I'm curious if you could tell us about MegaLinkages in general, what they are, and why you have talked about them, I think, a number of times as a potentially, interesting environmental initiative that could be implemented.
So, conservation biology was a field that sort of emerged in the 70s, predominantly from the work of a man named Michael Soule. And Soule was studied island biogeography, which is the study of population on islands. And one of the things that happens on islands is they're prone to extinction events. So a volcano goes off on an island and a bunch of the species there go extinct. And one of the reasons they go extinct is not that the volcano kills them, but it kills off enough of the species that because there's a body of water around the island and you can't import new ones, the gene pool gets too small and you have inbreeding, incest, and the line dies out. This is known as an extinction event. What Soule figured out is, holy crap, if you're a snake, you don't need the Pacific Ocean to create an island. You won't cross a road. If you're a snake and you're preyed upon by birds, you are innately hardwired not to cross a highway. And a lot of animals are actually wired this way. So he started to realize that the modern world, our roads, our suburbs, our sprawl, literally was putting animals on islands and making them extremely prone to extinction. So why are extinction rates 1,000 times greater than normal, and why have we lost 50% of all life on Earth? It's because of massive habitat fragmentation. Problem A. Problem B is, in ecosystems, you have what are known as keystone predators. These are the predator that's at the top of the pile, and usually when they're not there, the ecosystem can't function. They sort of keep the ecosystem super healthy. So the example is when they reintroduced wolves into Yosemite, suddenly the wolves were preying on moose and deer, and that population dropped a little bit, and so a lot of the flora and fauna rebounded, which brought in other animals and so forth, and the ecosystem could get restored. The problem when you have these keystone species is usually they're very, very migratory. A mountain lion, for example, can have a 500-mile territory, but a mountain lion won't cross a highway or something like that. Bears, similarly, these keystone species that are keeping our ecosystems safe and healthy need lots of room to roam. So one, habitat fragmentation is terrible. Two, if we want healthy ecosystems, animals need big room to roam. Finally, climate change means it's getting hotter. And so animals and plants have to migrate north to survive. And if there's fragmented habitat, they're not going to be able to migrate. So Soule came up with the idea that what we used to talk about as MegaLinkages. This term has sort of fallen out of favor, but a MegaLinkage was an idea that you could take all of our national parks and try to connect them with migration corridors. So you've seen, for example, on freeways now we have overpasses, animal overpasses, where animals can cross over freeways. These are parts of migration corridors that are being built, and there's been a number of efforts to create MegaLinkages in America. The most famous is the Yellowstone to Yukon effort, which is still going on today. They're trying to connect Yellowstone, the Yukon in one contiguous wildland streak. E.O. Wilson wrote about this in Half Earth. The UN has adopted MegaLinkages in this level of kind of continent-wide conservation approaches. This is not like, we don't use the term MegaLinkages as much, but this is at the heart of the rewilding movement in Europe. This is the Defense Department is involved in building migration corridors and things like that. So this is a widespread effort. When I started my work on technology, I actually started with the question of, okay, if we're going to create MegaLinkages, where the hell are we going to get the land? And I realized that most of the land came from being used was either cattle ranching or agriculture, which is why I started becoming a huge advocate of vertical farming and cultured beef. It was, if we can get agriculture and cattle ranching off the land and give the land back to the animals to create MegaLinkages, we actually have a chance to beat back both climate change and the biodiversity crisis. So that when I started writing Abundance and working with Peter and thinking about those kinds of questions, that's the stuff that I've been thinking about, and why I had been looking at disruptive technology for environmental challenges was how do we build MegaLinkages to protect species.
If what you've heard on Flow Research Collective Radio has been helpful, please consider doing us a solid and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening to this. Reviews help us connect to a wider audience so we can get these peak performance principles out to more people.